June 23, 1972. 6 days have passed since police arrested 5 burglars inside the Democratic Party's Washington headquarters at the Watergate complex. Inside the Oval Office, Richard Nixon gives his chief of staff a direct order. Use the CIA to shut down the FBI's investigation. Nixon does not know one critical fact. His own voice is being recorded automatically. That tape, later called the smoking gun, would force the first ever resignation of a sitting U.S. president. June 17, 1972. 2:30 a.m. Police arrest 5 men mid-operation. They are planting wiretaps. They are photographing documents. The target, the Democratic Party's Washington, D.C. headquarters at the Watergate complex. Declassified FBI report WFO 44-138 confirms 2 of the men are former CIA agents. Both work for the Committee to Re-elect the President, known as CRP. CRP is the official body tasked with winning Nixon a second term in the November 1972 presidential election. As far back as July 1970, Nixon had a secret automatic recording system installed. The devices cover the Oval Office. They cover the Cabinet Room. They cover his private office at Camp David. Memoranda notes from Secret Service Chief Robert Taylor to Senior Advisor H.R. Haldeman, dated July 1970, held at the National Archives, NORA, spell out the system's function. It triggers automatically the second anyone steps into the Oval Office. No human input is required. Nixon built the system to preserve records for his future memoirs. It would become his own executioner. For nearly 2 years, Richard Nixon and his White House waged a systematic campaign of denial. April 30, 1973. Nixon delivers a national television address. 60 million Americans tune in. He states flatly, "I had no prior knowledge of the Watergate break-in." He adds, "I took no part in any cover-up." He claims every member of his team linked to the break-in had been fired. He insists the Justice Department can work without interference. November 26, 1973. Nixon holds a press conference. Reporters grill him on the secret White House tapes, revealed 3 months earlier when Cabinet Secretary Alexander Butterfield testified before the Senate. Nixon's response is unflinching, "I have all the tapes I turned over." He adds, "I never destroyed any evidence." He labels Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox's investigation a political witch hunt. The first crack in the official story emerges with the review of the first tape transcripts. On April 30, 1973, the Nixon administration claims the president had no prior knowledge of the Watergate break-in. It also claims he never participated in a cover-up. But the June 23, 1972 Oval Office recording, held at the National Archives, NORA, proves the exact opposite. That day, Nixon explicitly tells his Chief of Staff H.R. Haldeman to contact the CIA. The order is clear. Tell the FBI to shut down its investigation. Use national security as a pretext. Later transcripts confirm Nixon orchestrated hush money payments to the Watergate burglars. The second crack is far more damning. On November 26, 1973, the Nixon administration claims the president never destroyed any evidence. But on October 4, 1974, the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia reveals a critical gap on one tape. The tape is dated June 20, 1972. That's just 3 days after the Watergate break-in. The gap is 18.5 minutes long. Audio experts from Panasonic and the FBI confirmed the erasure was deliberate. 5 separate manipulations of the tape wiped the conversation between Nixon and Haldeman that day. That's when the story takes a far more disturbing turn. Témoignage, on July 11, 1973, former White House counsel John Dean testifies under oath before the Senate Select Committee on Presidential Campaign Activities, 93rd Congress. He swears Nixon personally approved hush money payments to the Watergate burglars. He swears Nixon took part in every single step of the cover-up. 3 days later, Cabinet Secretary Alexander Butterfield drops a bombshell. He reveals the Oval Office's automatic recording system, a secret the White House had fought to bury. October 20, 1973. The Saturday Night Massacre. Nixon orders Attorney General Elliot Richardson to fire Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox. Cox had sued the White House to secure the secret tapes. Richardson resigns instead of obeying. His deputy, William Ruckelshaws, does the same. Finally, Solicitor General Robert Bork fires Cox. The act triggers a full-blown constitutional crisis. On July 24, 1974, the U.S. Supreme Court issues a unanimous ruling in United States v. Nixon 418 U.S. 683. The official decision rejects the absolute executive privilege Nixon claimed. It orders him to turn over all recordings requested by new Special Prosecutor Leon Jaworski. 64 recordings. From July 27 to 30, 1974, the House Judiciary Committee votes 3 articles of impeachment. Obstruction of justice. Abuse of power. Contempt of Congress. The official record is House Report H-Rep 93 to 1305. But the most critical document had never seen the light of day. After the Supreme Court's ruling, Nixon tries one last desperate trick. In April 1974, he turns over truncated, heavily redacted tape transcripts to the House Judiciary Committee. He cuts out every line that could implicate him. Inference: the available evidence suggests he hoped to convince lawmakers the tapes held no proof of his guilt. But on August 5, 1974, the Supreme Court forces Nixon's hand. He releases the full, unredacted transcript of the June 23, 1972, tape. The infamous smoking gun. This transcript, held at the National Archives NORA, published by the White House and the Washington Post contains Nixon's unmistakable, on-the-record order to H.R. Haldeman. Tell the CIA to instruct the FBI to halt its Watergate investigation, citing national security reasons. In just 48 hours, Nixon's political support collapses entirely. 10 previously loyal Republican senators announce they will vote to remove him from office. Nixon knows the House will vote to impeach. He knows the Senate will convict him. No way out. That seemingly trivial detail would redefine presidential accountability for generations. Aujourd'hui, nearly 50 years after Nixon's resignation, Watergate remains the definitive benchmark for setting limits to U.S. executive power. The legal precedent set by United States v. Nixon 418 U.S. 683 has been cited repeatedly in high-profile recent cases. It was cited in the 2022 investigation into classified documents found at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. It was also cited in the probe into the January 6, 2021, U.S. Capitol attack. Most of the Oval Office recordings are now declassified. 3,700 hours of them. They are fully accessible to the public at the National Archives. Only one unsolved mystery remains: the 18.5-minute gap on the June 20, 1972, tape. That tape was recorded just 3 days after the Watergate break-in. No audio expert has ever recovered the wiped conversation. No one has ever admitted to erasing it. Nixon never stood trial. President Gerald Ford granted him a full, unconditional pardon in September 1974, exactly 1 month after he resigned. His closest co-conspirators were H.R. Haldeman and John Ehrlichman. Both were convicted of obstruction of justice in 1975. Both served prison sentences. But one unspoken truth no one dared to confront still lingered. Watergate was never just a political scandal. It is the story of a president who trapped himself with his own secret recording system. The Oval Office tapes Nixon tried repeatedly to destroy, proved one irrefutable truth. Even the highest-ranking official in the United States is not above the law. But today, when U.S. presidents use encrypted messaging, ephemeral texts, and secure video calls, could a modern equivalent of the Watergate tapes ever come to light? Subscribe to The Truth They Hide so you don't miss what comes next.